Shri Krishna, Shri Krishna, Shri Krishna. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. When we are practicing yama and the niyamas and get established firmly in this practice, what are the signs that we have really attained these 10 factors in our life? So these are the signs. If our swadhyaya is going on very deeply and rightly, then we do get divine experiences in our life. Now, the last one is the Ishwara Pranidhan. So, how do you know that we are practicing dedication, devotion, surrender to the Lord? Sutra 45. Samadhi Siddhi Ishwara Pranidhanat. Ishwara Pranidhanat, when we practice the last of the niyamas, Shaucha, Santosha, Tapasvadhyaya, Ishwara Pranidhan. So, when we practice this, then Samadhi Siddhi, one is able to get established in this Samadhi. So, Ishwararpita bhavasya Ishwararpitaya samarpita sarve bhava yera sadhakena tasya. He who has offered every thought, every action, every effort to the Lord. Now what I have understood this is, whenever we are practicing our spiritual practice, we have got two problems. One problem is lot of efforts, and second is lot of questions. These efforts and questions take us away from the reality. See? The other day when I was in Australia, one person came and said, Swamiji, I was waiting for you for so many months together. So, I have prepared a list of questions. So, please help me. I said, look here. Why do you bring the questions between you and me? Why not we just be and experience that? There is nothing to ask in this world. There is nothing to solve. There is nothing to dissolve. Because our mind only goes on throwing the question, why? And if we have question, the only way is, like we are told, the Swadhyayad Ishta Devata Samprayogaha. Do your Satsang regularly. Slowly, all these questions will get dissolved. So, these two problems every seeker has. One is the efforts, and second is the ego that is developed as a result of the practice. You will see, those who are practicing yoga abhyas, etc., they have a kind of a distinction that they want to establish, that they are other than the common people. And this is the problem. Earlier I was bhogi, now I am yogi, but the I is still there. The problem is neither in the bhogi nor in the yogi. The problem is in I. So how do we get rid of it? And that is attained through Ishwara Pranidhan. Now the moment Ishwara Pranidhan takes place, the apara vairagya is perfected. Sampradnyat Samadhi is natural. And as a result, with the Viveka Khyati, with proper understanding, discrimination, the Asampradnyat Yoga is established. This is why Ishwara Pranidhanat Samadhi Siddhi. I didn't know this sutra a long time back when I had not studied this Patanjali Yoga Darshan. I don't know if I told you, I must told you. I have a very good friend. He is only practicing meditation, nothing else. So, he one day asked me, he said, Swamiji, you study so much and all that. I have never studied anything in my life. I only practice meditation, right from childhood. And I never ask anybody anything, simply try, hit and error method. And sometime I get divine experiences, sometime I don't get. So you please tell me, what is that because of which our samadhi can be established properly? So that time I was preparing khichdi, we were eating together, preparing khichdi. And he was standing behind me. And when I told the reply, I said, look here, samadhi is possible by God's grace, not by our efforts. And when I said like this, he was so much moved and in tears he said, this simple principle nobody talks about. Now then afterwards when I studied this Samadhi Siddhi Ishwara Pranidhanat, it is so true. When we surrender, efforts disappear. See? And efforts disappear, your ego is gone. And ego is gone, you are in samadhi. See? Therefore, here, Ishwararpita bhavasya samadhi siddhihi yaya sarvam ipsitam avitatham janati. So, by the surrender to the Lord, we are able to get established in this samadhi, yaya, by this samadhi, sarvam ipsitam avitatham janati. Sarvam ipsitam, whatever is desired to be known, avitatham, tatha, tatha, and avitatham, exactly as it is. So, without any deviation from what it is. Therefore, sarvam apsitam avitatham. So, tatha, vitatha and avitatha. Like the nakam. Parena nakam nihitam guhayam. Nakam, akam, kam is the sukham, akam is the dukkham, na akam is the original sukham, which is not contrary to the dukkha. Here also, avitatham, as it is. Yathartha rupena. Janati. And what? Deshantare, dehantare, kalantare cha. 3 places. So, deshantare, he is very much here alone, but he is able to know whatever is happening wherever by the mere sankalpa. See, in the life of our Lahiri Mahashaya, these episodes come. That time Britishers were ruling and he was in the military establishment as a clerk. So that Britisher military fellow, he was little disturbed. So this Lahiri Mahashaya, his clerk, asked him, sir, you are disturbed, what is the problem? He said, problem is such and such. I have not received any letter from my wife. Those days there used to be husband and wives in the Western world. Now there is nothing. That phenomena is gone. So I am worried about my wife, how is she and all that. So he came back. And then again he told, oh, she is perfectly alright, she has written a letter and this is what she has written you in the letter. So this fellow thought, Indians are very funny guys. But he kept quiet. And then he got the letter after 10-15 days. And then after 5-6 months, that lady came to stay with her husband. And then she came to the office. And when she came to the office, she saw this Lahiri Maashe. Said, hey, this fellow had come there. So, Dehantare, Deshantare, Samadhi Siddhi. By this Samadhi, one is able to know the things, Deshantare. By sitting anywhere, you can know anything in the world. Then, Dehantare. And also what is going on in other bodies. Dehantare. And Kalantare cha, Bhuta, Bhavishya, Adi. So what has happened in the past, what is going to happen in the future, everything is known by this. And this is what is called as the Viveka Khyati leading to this one. And therefore, Tataha asya prajna yatha bhutam prajanati iti. And therefore, because of this, his samadhi prajna, Viveka Khyati, is able to know the things as they are. Therefore, Ishwara Pranidhana is only technique by which we discard, submit our ego. And when the ego is submitted, discarded, all the obstacles are gone. And then we are merged with the totality. So, Ukta Saha Siddhivihi Yamaniyama Asanadini Vakshamaha Tatra. Now we have told you up to this point the Yama Niyama as well as the Siddhis which are gained when we are established in this. Now we take up this next anga, that is the Asana. See, out of this Yama Niyama Asana Pranayama Pratyahara Dharana Dhyan Samadhi, maximum time and sutras are attributed to Yama and the Niyama. Note this thing. But this is one thing which is directly bypassed. And directly we go for one or two asanas and then we feel that we will be achieving anything. Nothing. Now, 46th Sutra talks about Asanam. Sthira Sukham Asanam. Asyate Anena Iti. Asanam, the posture. Asanam is a particular posture in which the body is kept. And how it should be? It should be sthirancha sukhancha iti sthiram sthira sukham asanam. So sthiram nishchalam jas sukham sukhavam tada asanam iti sutrartha. It should be sthira means there is firmness at the base and steadiness vertically. And there should not be any painful experience. Otherwise, you sit for then again wait. Now when this is going to be over, when this is going to be over. And finally when we break it. No. Sit in one posture, undisturbed and happily. Then it is called as asana. So these are the basic things about the asana. All other things are secondary. Therefore, sukha pradatve sati sharira vritti sthiratvam asanatvam iti. Therefore, when we are able to keep the body in the same posture for a long period of time without any painful experience, then alone our Asana Siddhi is taking place. So here the Bhashakar tells, just like few asanas are given, Padmasana, Virasana, Bhadrasana, Swastikasana, Dandasana, Sopasana, Parjankasana, Krauncha Nishadana, Hasti Nishadana, Ushtu Nishadana, Samasamsthana, etc., etc. You know these asanas, for example, Hasti Nishadana, as the elephant sits, or Ushtra Nishadana, as the camel sits. You see, when these animals sit, they don't go on changing their posture every 2 seconds, no. If you see the camels, they sit in a very funny manner. And once they sit, then they don't move for hours together in the same posture. So, the steadiness and the stability of the asana should be like that. And thereafter, it should be sukham. So, what is important is, asanam is that where sukham is sthiram. Asana is that where our experience of bliss or painlessness is unbroken. That is what is called as Sthira Sukham. Many times, this is read like this. Sthiram Asanam Sukham Asanam. So that Sthiram and Sukham become the adjective of the asana, the posture. But actually, what I personally feel is the other way around. Asanam is that which gives you Sthira Sukham. Because ultimately that is what we are seeking in life. Therefore, Sthira Sukham cha Sutrotpatam tasya Vyakhyanam Yatha Sukhamiti. So there are different types of asanas are given here. Now, these asanas become very perfect by two practices. Which are those? 47th. Prayatna Shaithilya Ananta Samapattibhyam. See how I told you? Prayatna Shaithilya, effortlessness. Wherever there are efforts, we are in an unnatural pose, or something is deviation from our natural state. Wherever there is effort. Like, the simple example you can take. When our eyes are normal 6/6, so just by opening the eyes we can see, we can read, there is no problem. But when the eyes start becoming unnatural, they start becoming unhealthy, then we require struggle, we require efforts. And then we do all kinds of, joking things like that, Why? Because we are not able to see. So, Prayatna Shaithilya, Prayatna Uparamat, and when one is able to give up the Prayatna Uparamat, Yena Prayatna Uparamena Na Angame Jayo Bhavati. As a result, there is no shivering in the body. Shivering in the body is only because when we are putting a lot of efforts. And as I told you, in our meditation practice, one very simple technique of attaining this Prayatna Shaithilya is when we sit on the seat of meditation, we start relaxing the body from the top to the toe. And when the process of relaxation is initiated, slowly, all the efforts disappear. And when the efforts disappear, the body becomes kashtavat, like a wooden piece. So, yena uparamena na angamejayaha bhavati. And as a result, mrutavat sthitihi eva prayatna shaithilyam. So it becomes as if a dead thing is kept over there. There is no movement whatsoever. Many times this happens when you keep on practicing your dhanayabhas regularly. Sometimes it becomes so much that your eyes may open, you may want to move or do something, but your body is just like a rock. This is what is called as Prayatna Shaithilyam. By that the Asana Siddhi takes place. And the second is Anante Sheshanage Va Samapannam Chittam Asanam Nirvartayati. Or the second aspect is Anante Sheshanag. So this is the kind of a bhavana one has to do. That like the Sheshanag who is holding the Prithvi on the top of his hood. So if he moves little bit, the whole Prithvi will start moving and falling down. So as he is absolutely steady, just can't move even this much. If you do the bhavana of something which is absolutely immovable, your mind and body also becomes like that. Another way, some Mahatmas have said that Ananta is the space, or Ananta is the void, total absence. So when you do the bhavana of total absence, So you give up, the shape of the body disappeared, the contents of the body disappeared, and now there is none of this thing ever included in the mind. And when everything is thus dropped, the asana becomes perfect. This is how these are the two techniques by which we can get a firmness in the posture on the seat of meditation. Now, why so much importance is given to the asana? Because 48th Sutra, Tataha Dvandva Anabhighataha Shitoshnadibhihi Dvandvaihi Asana Jayad Na Abhibhuyate. So, Shitoshnadibhihi, by the Shita, Ushna, etc. So, all the pairs of opposite, Adibhihi, like anger, thirst, etc., Asana Jayad Na Abhibhuyate. Now, this is one very, very important aspect, the Asana Siddhi, what happens. We have seen these, various Siddhis, when we do the Ahimsa or Satya, Asteya, etc. Now here Asana Siddhi. When Asana Siddhi happens, one's ability to endure increases tremendously. We are unable to endure anything, no patience. Many people, wherever there is prosperity, there are patients, no patience. They want the things to happen instantaneously. Those people who have lived, I remember one of my ammas, she was a doctor and her husband was not well. So she has to run the whole show of that house, not for a day or two, but for many years. And then afterwards the husband died, and her children refused to take up the medical profession because they have seen how miserable their life was. And then she handed over that, sold it out to somebody, and then she wanted to study scriptures and all that. Very sincere, very dedicated, very capable, but a person who has lived his whole life taking decision and dictating can never listen one word from anybody. And then small little things are enough to upset. Here it is, Asana Siddhi, Tataha Dvandva Anabhighataha. Then nothing will disturb. And the absence of disturbance is not going into depression. Many times when this happens, when we are unable to take something cheerfully as a part of our spiritual practice, we accept it at the surface level and revolt it at the base level. The net result is acidity or the peptic ulcers. Because inside there is a volcano of revolt and outside there is a show of peace. Therefore here, this Asana Siddhi, whosoever practices, you will see, one stops getting irritated, one stops getting disturbed, one stops reacting to the situation. One is able to sit quiet. When the body is quiet, the prana shakti becomes settled. When the prana shakti becomes settled, the mind does not react. When the mind does not react, we are naturally going towards the chitta ekagrata. They are all connected together. And in this manner, asana jayat na abhibhuyate. He is no more influenced by these all pairs of opposite. I remember, I was in somewhere in 99 recently, and suddenly that, I don't know what they call it, herpes. One point somewhere herpes came. Only one point. I said, how come at this time of my life I never had? So my friend was with me, a doctor, he said, Swamiji, there are reports that one may get as a reaction of some medicine or some vaccination during the childhood, even after 30-40 years. I said, anyway, I have come here on vacation, this is the only time it finds. And then there was, I didn't know this, for 3 days I was suffering. So the only thing I should do is to tell you, you go for what you want to enjoy, I am going to sit here. And I have to sit only for 3 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours. During that time, slowly, all that pain and everything slowly walked out, washed out. So that time, this experience was very clear. When you are firmly seated, not with the vengeance, I'll see, no, not like that, perfect asana. We develop that faculty, that we no more react, we no more misunderstand, we no more become influenced by the adversities around us in life. Now after we have attained this Asana Siddhi, then alone the next called as Pranayama is to be done. Now see, first Yama, Niyama, attaining perfection in them, then comes the Asana, and after you attain Asana, then comes the Pranayama. We go directly Dhum Dhadaka. Tasmin Sati Shvasa Prashvasa Yoga. Ek minute. Tasmin Sati Shvasa Prashvasa Yoho Gati Vichhedaha Pranayamaha Satyasana Jaye. Tasmin Sati, when one has established Asana Siddhi, Asana Jaye. Now there is no problem. See, initially when you practice, we are not able to even get a perfect posture. Every time somewhere or the other it starts paining. And if we start getting, it takes long time to settle. And if we settle even after a long time, but we can't sit for a long time. Only for 10 minutes again start disturbing. So these are the initial stages. But once you are perfected in the asana, any time you just go and land, and that becomes your perfect asana. And in that asana, you can continue for hours together, without getting tired, without getting numb, without getting bored, and without getting disoriented anywhere. Therefore, when this Asana Siddhi takes place, Sati Asana Jaye, Bahyasya Vayoho Achamanam Shvasaha. So, when we take the air inside, it is called as Shvasa. And Koshtasya Koshtagatasya Vayoho Nissaranam Prashvasaha. And when we breathe out, it is called as Prashvasa. So, breathing in called as Shvasa, breathing out is called as Prashvasa. Now, Tayoho Dvayoho Shvasasya Prashvasasya cha Gati Vichhedaha Krama Bhangaha Gatehe Pravahasya Bhangaha Chedanam Tayoho Abhavaha Gati Bhanga Pranayamaha. So, Gati means the movement. So, when the air is being breathed in and then you hold, Gati Vichheda, or you control. Similarly, when you breathe out, either we control or we hold it. We throw it outside and hold. Thus, this pranayama is practice by which we exercise control on breathing. Now here, one of the most important thing this commentary has brought out, Tayoho gati vichhedaha ubhaya bhavaha pranayamaha. Ubhaya abhavaha. Now see, ubhaya abhavaha doesn't mean that you stop breathing in or breathing out. No. There are three things which are said in this sutra. Breathing in a controlled manner is pranayam. Breathing out in a controlled manner is pranayam. And total suspension of the breathing in the form of holding the breath, either outside or inside. When we hold the breath after breathing out, it is called as Rechaka Kumbhaka. And when we hold the breath after breathing in, it is called as a Puraka Kumbhaka. So there are these three main aspects in the control of prana or the pranayama: gati vichhedaha, the speed, the activity of breathing or breathing out or holding is suspended. So in this manner, this is gati vichhedaha vayoho, is called as the pranayamaha. So prano deha gato vayu ayamaha tasmin nibandhanam. So this dehagata vayu, the air which is inside the body, controlling that is called as the pranayamaha. So pranayama tridha prokta puraka kumbhaka rechakaihi. So there are three aspects in the pranayam: puraka, kumbhaka and rechaka. Puraka is filling, breathing in; kumbhaka holding; and rechaka breathing out. These three things together is called as. Then trayanam parva paryena prathama bhumikayam sah anusthana niyamad ekatva vyavaharotpattehe natu tadrusha vakyeshu milinatanam eva pranayamatvam viviksitam. So we should not mistake that only when you hold the air totally and fit, that is called as pranayam. No, all the three things are to be included. Now, about this pranayam, some more information is added in the 50th sutra. Bahyabhyantaraha. No. Bahyabhyantara. Stambha vrittihi. Deshakala sankhyabihi. Paridrushto dirgha sukshmaha. Now, yatra, in that pranayam, prashvasa purvakaha pradhanam yasmin gatya bhave sa prashvasa purvakaha. So, that pranayam in which first there is, the importance is prashvasa. So, when we are breathing out, prashvasa, shvasa is taking in, prashvasa is breathing out. So, that pranayam where breathing out is important, and then gati abhavaha, gati vichhedaha, and that time we are controlling the breathing out process. So bahyaha pranayama, that is called as bahya pranayama. And similarly the antar will be of the same type. But however, this vritti shabda is associated only with the stambha vritti. The stambha vritti is yatra pranayame gati vichhede prashvasa purvaka gati abhavaha sa bahyo bahya vrittihi pranayamo rechaka nama ityartha. Means what? When we breathe out and after breathing out we hold the air outside, it is called as rechaka kumbhaka. Because the gati vichheda has been affected at the time of breathing out and holding the breath outside. This is called as the Rechaka Pranayama Bhajyavritti, and the second will be Yatra Shvasena Purakena Gati Abhavaha Sa Abhyantaraha Abhyantara Vritti Pranayamaha. And in the second case, when we breathe in and after breathing in we hold the air inside, it's called as Puraka Pranayama, it's called as the Antar Vritti. And Tritiyaha Pranayama Stambha Vritti. The third pranayam is stambha vritti, stambha avarodaha, eva vritti vartanam shilam yasyasu stambha vrittihi. So, yatra ubhaya bhavaha, sakut prayatnat. Therefore, this is the third, where there is only the kumbhaka portion is taken into account. So, this kumbhaka doesn't require any kind of a practice. Like, for breathing in, breathing out, you require practice. But in case of kumbhaka, simply holding. Sakruteva, once you do, it is done. So in this manner, there are three aspects of this pranayama. यत्र उभयोः श्वास प्रश्वासयोः सकृदेव विदारकात् प्रयत्नात् अभावः भवति न पुनः पूर्ववद् आपूर्ण प्रयत्नात् प्रयत्नौघ प्रविधारकस् प्रयत्नः नापि रेचक प्रयत्न औघ विधारण प्रयत्नोः अपेक्षते. Now in case of this Tritiya pranayam, that is the kumbhaka, expectation is there, either you take the air inside, breathe in, so the puraka kumbhaka will be wanting, it is a necessity, that it is preceded by the breathing in, then only puraka kumbhaka is possible. And the rechak kumbhaka is possible only when the breathing out is complete. In this manner, this is being practiced. So, this, after having said, the yatha tapte upale nestam sarvataha jalam apadyate tatha dvayoho jugopat abhavaha iti. And then, in case of this kevala kumbhaka, where there is no effort, either there is no breathing in going on or breathing out going on, and here there is a suspension of the process of breathing, and therefore the three pranayam, puraka, kumbhaka and the rechaka, so trayaha api ete deshena paridrishta yanasya deshaha and kalena paridrishta kshananam. Now here you please understand, in this comment it is not very clear. See, deshena paridrishta means what? See, when you start breathing, the air is thrown out. This comes in the another books on Yoga Shastra. It is not in our this commentary, Patanjali Yoga Darshan, but in other books I have studied. When we breathe, how long the air goes? Desha. Or when you are breathing, how long your vision goes? This is called in technical terms as Dvadasha Madhya. So Dvadasha is this much length. When you spread your thumb and a small little finger, the distance between these becomes exactly 12 fingers. Your 12 fingers. So Dvadasha. So when we breathe out, the air is felt only up to this point. And when we breathe in, the air goes again from here up to the center, that is the sternum. And in this manner, slowly, attention is focused only on between these 2 points. And the bhavana is done. Now the air is moving only within this area. It is not going beyond this area. And then slowly, this is still reduced. Now from the Dvadasha, the 12 fingers, we come to the 10 or 6 or 8. And in this manner then the breathing is only from this distance to this distance. And slowly, when one becomes perfected in this, it leads to the Kevala Kumbhaka. So this is how the Desha Deshena Paridrishtaha is one. And second is Kalena Paridrishtaha. Kalena Paridrishtaha means what? That how long you take to breathe in. So there is, the counting, also Sankhya is used there. So you take, for example, if you are taking in, you count 12. And then you hold the air inside for 24 counts. And then you throw the air, breathe out in 36 counts. That becomes observation of this pranayama with reference to time or the counts. In this manner, one is practice. So, yattayaha avdharena avachinnaha sankhyabihi paridrishta. In the same manner, one can also try this through the counts. Just now what I told you. So, etavad bihi, and by this, etavad bihi udghataha. So, when we do it by 12 counts, counts, then 24 counts, and the 36 counts. This is called as the Manda, Madhyama, and the Tivra Udghata. Udghata is awakening. In this manner, this Udghata takes place, and then from the Nabhi, the Apana Vayu goes and dashes at the Sahasrara. This is how it takes place. And with that, the energy cycles are established. All the Vida, Pingala, these left and the right, these two channels of energy are opened up. And as a result, Sushumna Nadi becomes active. So this is how all this pranayama helps a seeker. So, sa khalu ayam evam abhyastaha dirgha sukshma bhavati iti. Now when you just start practicing this, it becomes dirgha and sukshma. So it goes very deep, very slow, and you breathe out also very deep and very slow. And as a result, so dirgha kala vyapi, etc. and sukshma. So it is extremely subtle. The others will not be able to even recognize whether there is breathing going on or not. So these are the three pranayams referred in this 50th sutra. Now, the fourth pranayam, which is the one which we are practicing, Bahyabhyantara Vishayakshepi Chaturtha. Bahya Abhyantara Vishaya Akshepi. Now, the fourth pranayam is other than the three, where there is nothing to do with the inside, outside, holding or not holding. Therefore, this is called as the fourth one. Here he has quoted beautiful quotations from the Agyavalkya Shruti, etc. Rechakam Purakam Tyaktva Yat Sukham Vayudharanam Pranayamo Yamityuktaha Savai Kevala Kumbhakaha Na Munchati Nagrunnati Vayurantar Bahi Sthitam Apurya Kumbhavatishtet Kevala Satukumbhakaha Are Chapurya Kuryat Sakuryat Sa Vai Sahita Kumbhakaha. So, there is neither breathing in nor breathing out, but without that, kevala vayu dharanam. So, there is only presence of air, but without the movement of the air. Presence of air is also in the dead body, but we are not talking about that. For the pranayama, there is neither breathing out, breathing in or kumbhaka, but it remains suspended. And this is the ultimate. And this particular thing is exhaustively spoken of in our, Vashishta Samhita. There, this was very emphatically said. When you get time, please study that. So, Kevala Kumbhakaha, Deshakala Sankhyabihi Paridrishtaha Bahya Vishayaha Akshiptaha. So, these are transcended. No more counting or holding in at or out. Tatha paridrishtaha akshiptaha kalena ubhayatha. And as a result, dirgha sukshma, that also is given up. The tat purvakaha bhumi jayat. Bhumi jayat kramena. Bhumi jayat means step by step. So when by step the seeker has learned and conquered this control over prana, then kramena Ubhayoho gati abhavaha sa chaturtha pranayamaha. Then both the gatis, that is Puraka and the Kumbhaka, as well as the Rechaka and Kumbhaka, all these gatis are totally suspended, and that is what is called as the Kevala Kumbhaka. Why this is called as the Chaturtha pranayama? Because Trutiyastu Vishayena Analochitalaha gati abhavaha. Because up to the three pranayam, the first one, there is some kind of expectation and description. This being the fourth in comparison to that, therefore it is called as fourth. But otherwise there is nothing like first, second, third, fourth. So this is what we are going with the without the kala sankhyabihi, and the sukshmaha chaturtaha shvasa prashvasayo vishaya avadharanat kramena bhumika jayat. And then one gives up the alambana support such as the what you call the desha, kala and the sankhya. They are rejected, and thereafter one gets settled in this kevala kumbhaka. This is what we have been telling you where we practice first Asana Siddhi, then the pranayam where we are not practicing the third, that is kumbhaka. And when the body is purified, Nadi Shodhan takes place, then slowly the breathing comes to extremely slow and shallow. And the slow and shallow, when it is maintained for a long period of time, ultimately that itself gets matured into Keval Kumbhak. And in that, when we come to this level, then what happens? 52nd, Tataha kshiyate prakashavaranam. So when pranayam siddhi takes place, then by this pranayaman abhyasyataha asya yoginaha viveka jnanasya avaraniyam karma samskar kshiyate. Now this is one thing which is very difficult to digest, but please understand, it's very important. You know what happens? When we practice pranayam, as a result of the pranayam, our intense identification of the mind with the body is loosened, and as a result of which the karma samskar which were on the mind and which were prompting us to various kinds of thoughts or the activity, they start getting erased. And that is why they say there is no more superior tapas than the pranayam. So by this pranayam, slowly the karma samskar are erased. And therefore, kshiyate. And yad achakshate mahamohamayena indrajalena prakashashila sattvam avritya tadeva akare niyungte iti. So, in the absence of this pranayam purification, all the impressions which are on the mind, they will prompt us into various kinds of activities, and then one goes into a lot of activities. And as a result, this is called as the Prakasha Avaranam, the wisdom, the Viveka Khyati is covered, and Samsara Nibandhanam, and this becomes the cause of bondage. Now this karma samskar, pranayama abhyasad, durbalam bhavati, pratikshanam cha kshiyate. Therefore, the more you practice pranayam, slowly your mind will start becoming purer and purer. The old habits of anger and doing these, misunderstanding, everything will start disappearing. And pratikshanam chakshiyate tatha chauktam pranayamat param na tapaha. There is nothing superior than the pranayam as regards the tapas is concerned. Tato malanam vishuddhihi jnanasya dipticha. And by this, when the impurities are washed away, the knowledge becomes distinctly clear. In this manner, when one practices this pranayam, then what happens? The 53rd, dharana sucha yogyata manasaha pranayama bhyasad prachanna vidharanabhyam va pranasya. We have seen in the earlier 34th sutra, in the first chapter, that we can control the mind even by the strength of the pranayam. Therefore, pranayam abhyasat eva, only by this prachana vidharana va pranasya, we have seen this is one of the methods of controlling the mind. In this manner, one is able to attain sufficient perfection in the control over mind through the abhyasa pranayam. This is what is meant in Bhagavad Gita. Yoginaha karma kurvanti sangam tyaktva atma shuddhe. So there atma shuddhi is antakaran shuddhi. And there the karma is this pranayam karma. This is the meaning given by Lahiri Mahasaya. So in his approach, it is this, that when one is practicing this pranayam, the more you practice for hours together, he used to say, practice pranayam for 24 hours. So if we start practicing maybe Anytime, anywhere you have little time, just sit and just start observing. Become aware. I am not in favor of counting or doing anything. Only become aware of your breathing. When you start becoming aware of breathing, you remain with yourself, and when you count, you go away from yourself. So we start with remaining aware of our breathing and simply sit quiet, no reaction, no nothing, simply breathing is going on. By that, all the impurities are burnt. And now, the fifth one is pratyahar. Now what is pratyahar? Swa vishaya asamprayoge chitta swarupanukara iva indriyanam pratyaharaha. Swa vishaya asamprayoga bhave. When the sense organs are no more coming in contact with their respective sense objects. Swa vishaya samprayoga abhave chitta swarupanukar iva indriyanam esha pratyaharaha. Now see, when our eyes are open, the vision goes and gets involved with the colors and forms. And when our eyes are closed, then the vision has nowhere to go and see colors and forms. Then what happens to that indriya, the darshana drishti? They go back to the consciousness. Okay? This happens in deep sleep also, under ignorance. But here pratyahar is prati aharati, it goes back. So eva, as if the senses have gone back to the consciousness. And therefore, chitta nirodhe itara indriya jayavat upayantaram na apekshante. Now here, this also can be done other condition, like in the dharana, in the samadhi time, as well as when our mind is somewhere engaged, then our also senses do not go here and there. And here he has given an example. Yatha makshika utpatantam madhukara rajam anu utpatanti nivishamanam anu nivishayante tatha indriyani chitta nirodhe niruddhani bhavanti iti esha pratyaharaha. We have seen this example in our Prashna Upanishad. Just like the queen bee, when she goes somewhere, all other bees follow. When she sits down, everybody sits. In the same manner, when the sense organs are no more going here and there, but when the mind is totally calm and quiet, all the sense organs come back to the same quiet mind, that is called as the chitta or the consciousness. In this manner, chitta nirodhe, when the mind is perfectly controlled, the pratyahar takes place. And as a result of this pratyahar, then what happens? Tataha parama vashyata indriyanam. So as a result of this pratyahar, then what happens? Shabdadishu avyasanam indriya jayaha iti kechit manyante. So, indriya jaya means what? The senses are no more running in the respective objects. This is called as avyasanam. Vyasanasya abhavaha. Then some people say that there is no attachment even if the senses run over there. The third one, they say, svechaya bhogeshu khalu ayam swatantraha na bhogyatantraha ityartaha. He keeps his freedom. He decides whether to indulge in this particular thing or not, and how far and when to withdraw. When the involvement in the world is with total freedom. There is no more compulsion on the form, in the form of attraction by the world or the weakness of the strength. With that with that firmness of understanding, he who is living in this world, keeping his swatantriya, keeping his independence perfectly well, he has pratyahara. Then ragadvesha bhave sukha dukkha shunyam shabdadi jnanam indriya jayaha. The third stage is, there is total absence of ragadvesha. Therefore, whether something is there or not there, it doesn't disturb. That is really called as the indriya jaya, total control. And the last important thing that is said, Acharya Jaigi Shavya, his opinion is, Chittasya ekagryan apratipattireva tatascha iyam vashyata parama. This Acharya says that when our chitta is completely, perfectly under control, then as a result of this complete control over chitta or the mind, senses are automatically controlled. And that is what is called as the Paramavashyata, the supreme control. So Parama Prakrishta Chitta Nirodhe Indriyani Niruddhani. And Yoginaha Itara Indriya Jayavat Prayatna Kritam Prayatnantaram Na Pekshante. But in case of this last kind of Pratyahara, there is no expectation of any effort. Because the senses become turbulent when they are supported by the mind. And when the senses are not supported by the mind, senses become weak. See, in second chapter we were told, Indriyanam hicharata yan manonu vidhiyate tadasya harati pradyam vayurnava imamasa. When the senses are running in this object, and along with that, the mind also runs along with the senses, then his condition is like a boat in the high sea and totally tossed left and right. But he who has full control over his mind is established in the chitta vritti nirodha, then all other things such as the pratyahara is natural state, without any prayatnantaram, without any expectation of any efforts. And in this manner, in this sadhana path, we have seen the 5 of the 8 angas: yama, niyama, asana, pranayam, pratyahara. And all of them we have seen along with how we have to attain perfection in all the 10 yama niyamas, asana, pranayam and pratyahara. And also we have seen, if we have really attained perfection, what are the signs that must start appearing in our own personal life? If that is not happening, like Bhagavan says in Kathopanishad, Nayamatma pravachanena labhyaha namedhaya na bahuna shrutena. It is only a wastage. Therefore, whatever we study must be reflected in our every moment of life. Then we are practicing yoga abhyasa. Otherwise, we are only expert in talking, but as regards living our life is concerned, again our individuality starts peeping up, and then it becomes an issue on every small little thing. Therefore, this yoga abhyas has to be practiced in our life. Now, after that, in the next Vibhuti Pada, the first area deals with the 3 internal disciplines, because earlier 5 are the external disciplines, and now the 3 are the internal disciplines. So first we have seen the Bahiranga Sadhana, now we have to go to the Antaranga Sadhana. This Antaranga Sadhana has got 3 aspects: Dharana, Dhyan, Samadhi, and all of them together, the 4th one is the Sayyama. So this internal sadhana, when it is practiced, then again the various levels of understanding and siddhis are developed, and after that, when Sayyama is perfect, then one can discover any power that one desires to. This is how in this Vibhuti Pad we will see all the details from our next session onwards. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnaat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.